When thinking about zombies, a dark gritty area is probably the first thing to come to your mind. Like a dark overrun city, the grimy sewers, overrun malls, abandoned Nazi theaters even. Well, how about a zombie apocalypse on a beautiful tropical island? Like it is the case with Dead Island. What's up, Danksters? Thanks for tuning in to a brand new episode of Zombie Games Are Cool, a series where I look back at all the childhood zombie games I played as a kid and review them for you today. Dead Island is actually very fascinating because a lot of zombie games did not have a bright tone like this game was giving off. On top of the reveal trailer being one of gaming's most cinematic and iconic trailers of all time at that time, it got people really excited, including yours truly. So on September 6, 2011, Techland and Deep Silver would introduce the world to the zombie-infected island known as Dead Island. And I was there week 1 to pick up my copy of the game. Now, I may be holding up the Xbox 360 game right here, but all the footage you see and everything involving this game is recorded off of the PS5 using the PS4 Dead Island Definitive Edition. So before we jump into all the fun zombie slaying action, let's just take a step back a little bit and look at the story of Dead Island. Before the menu even pops up, we're greeted by the first cutscene actually. We are in the perspective of a character that we actually have no idea who we are actually, because we can't see them, so maybe we're Ethan Winters or some shit, I don't know. Slowly but surely though, the person walks all throughout a party that is happening inside the hotel, and then proceeds to run into all 4 survivors that we could play as, like getting into Logan's face, or getting on stage with Sam B, or actually seeing one of the main characters in the bathroom treating a bite victim. It's very interesting. But after we stumble around till we eventually end up into the player's room, it's here we can finally pick who we want to be. And every character does bring their own stats, like Sam B, who is proficient on heavy melee weapons and stuff like that. However, I went with Logan for this playthrough because, well, I'll tell you a little bit later. So we wake up and it's the next day, awoken by a voiceover on an emergency intercom, causing us to get up and leave the hotel room. But before we do anything else, if you actually take a left here, you can see the couple that was in the Dead Island trailer back in the day, but no kid for some reason. Anyway, we quickly learn that overnight, most of the population has been overrun and turned into zombies. And next thing we know, we are trying to outrun the zombies in a hotel, which is very tense by the way, and a very good way to start the game. I actually get a lot of Zombie U vibes here, but since Dead Island actually came first, I guess I get a lot of Dead Island vibes from Zombie U. We end up in an elevator, and unfortunately though, it crashes and we pass out. Next thing we know, we're waking up in a little beach hut surrounded by scared people. We quickly learn that the guy who saved us is outside being overrun by zombies. So we grab anything that looks like a weapon nearby and go out to help him. And after helping him, we're introduced to him. This is Cinemoy. He's a lifeguard on the island and just happens to break it to us that we might be immune to the infection, and that's the reason why we should help him out. Trying to understand the situation a bit better, we agree, so with that, we're tasked to clear the lifeguard station so all the survivors can be moved up there into a safer place. And once we do so, the game stops being so linear and just completely opens up with all the side quests you can do. Seriously, as soon as you get done securing the place, tons of side quests open up for you, and it's actually here where I just put a break on the story and I go out and do as many side quests as I possibly can because you can level up super fast this way. But even if there was more story, there's not much that can be done at this moment, so doing side quests are the way to advance the plot. And not only that, but hearing the stories of the survivors as they give you quests, it really does make the island feel alive in a way, which is kind of ironic because it's infested with zombies. Like I said, it's super easy to level up in this game, and once you level up, Dead Island actually has a skill tree. There are 3 sections: survival, which is health based, combat, which is exactly what it sounds like, and fury, which is all about the special that we can do. Once you kill enough zombies over time, a bar will fill up, and when you're holding circle, in my case anyway, your fury meter will go off, allowing you to be really powerful for a few seconds. However, upgrading it in the skill tree will make it even stronger and last even longer. I chose Logan for my run because he's a throwing expert and handles sharp objects the best. So most of my playthrough looked like this.
You ain't for an ass whooping.
Always made sure to have a full weapon wheel of sharp objects on me at all times. There's actually a weapon durability system in this game, meaning weapons will break after repeated use. However, throwing knives, sickles, swords, anything sharp, as soon as I throw them, it does massive damage and doesn't hurt the weapon at all, or at least that much. You can repair them at certain benches that are marked on the map, but throwing them and then receiving them saves so much time on the backtracking and money. There are also guns in this game, but not till like later into the story, and they control like you'd think they would. However, using the guns feel very weighty, if I were to put a word on it. I'm not sure how to describe it, but it doesn't feel as tight as other first-person shooters. The zombies are really good in this game. First off, they look the part, and they look damn good too. The graphics on these zombies look unnerving and disgusting. They look exactly how zombies should look like. They can be downright scary at times. Like at points, you'll just be walking around and out of nowhere just hear a yell. You'll look around and they'll just slowly get up to you. This shit had me spinning all around so scared, trying to locate the screams, and sometimes I'd find it and knock them before they hit me, but sometimes I wouldn't be so lucky and these zombies would just barrel at me. It was pretty intense. The AI feels pretty good with these zombies as well. They're not like too dumb and normally will act right. But of course I'm just talking about the common infected here. There are a lot of zombie games that have special infected, and Dead Island is no exception. First off, we have the Thug, who is a super tall zombie that has raw strength that will knock you on your ass if you are not careful. Next up are Suiciders, which are pretty self-explanatory, but they're zombies that are all warped and they will run at you, causing them to explode when close by. Then we have Rams, which are these big zombies that are tied up in a straitjacket, but they will charge at you, giving their whole name, Ram, using their whole body to tackle you. Then there's the Floaters, which are the spitters of the game, even down to their abilities of spewing corrosive bile at you. And then there's the final type, the Butchers. These are pretty much just like the Thugs in abilities, except instead of being tall and strong, they're normal height and have no hands and these bones coming out instead. I get that these games do this to have these special infected, but goddamn, sometimes when all these zombies are on you at the same time, it can be quite the pain in the ass to take care of. Now I know that is common in zombie media. If you get overrun, it makes it harder for the survivors. But to have the common infected, then a ram on you, and then a floater in the distance spitting at you, it can be really frustrating. It is definitely a good way to watch your health bar drop like nothing else. And if you are not careful in this game, the zombies will overwhelm you themselves, so make sure to have a couple of medkits on standby. Dead Island to this day looks amazing. It's so gorgeous. The island is so beautiful. I don't know if it's because I'm playing the definitive edition or what, but man, this game looks great. The amount of bloom and saturation of being on an island is really well done here. All the colors properly clash here. Dead Island having its unique setting definitely makes it stand out from the rest. Sometimes I'll just sit and gaze and watch the island move, take in the entire atmosphere. I really love coming out to these little beach hut areas, this little bar area, because it just feels so well designed. For zombie media too, the blood is cleverly placed here and looks really good. The island itself is massive and has so much to do in it and collect, like ID badges, Bonoi files, and audio tapes. I just have a lot of fun exploring the island instead of doing the main quest. And speaking of the main quest, it's time we get back to that story. After doing all we can here at the resort and lighthouse, which I forgot to bring up, but I just see it as more of a side mission than an actual building to be in, purely world building only. But after all is said and done here, we go into the city of Moresby to find further help. Taking a girl named Jin in that we saved earlier, we're tasked to aid a barricaded church. Of course, this means more side missions, which are given to us by the dozen, but it also gives us a chance to explore the city. And unlike the resort area of the island, the city feels exactly how you would expect it to feel, that being dead. Cramped spaces, tons of blockades, houses and apartments to go into, rooftops to explore and navigate, and of course being a lot more dangerous as well. Not only are there a lot more zombies here as well, but survivors too. You fight other human enemies back at the resort area like once or twice, but now it's a main focus. Unfortunately, that's just how it goes in zombie media. I don't understand it. The zombies slowly start become background plot while the humans versus human shit starts to take over. But during all of of our running around and scavenging, we actually scavenged from a supermarket that was under control by a gang called the Rascals. The Rascals end up kidnapping Jen, you know, the girl we brought with us, because she went over to offer supplies to other factions because she wasn't happy that we wanted to stop. Going over to the abandoned police station where the Rascal gang hold up, they proceed to capture her and do unsavory stuff to her that I don't want to repeat on YouTube. Yeah, holy shit, I had no idea Dead Island went to like these lengths, but it makes sense because that is not uncommon for zombie media. Shit, I mean 28 days later, even before this game came out, the second half of that movie is just the two girls trying not to get R-worded. But of course, we aren't going to stand for that shit, so we go in and take out every member of the gang. And after doing that, we head back to the resort area and make contact with Colonel Ryder White, a Benoi Island Defense Force commander. And it's here where I want to bring up the traversal. Now, I was going to leave it off to its own segment, but now that it's coming up in the story again, I just have to bring it up because now I'm looking at the footage. But look at this driving. This is awful. I don't know who at Techland thought that this was such a good idea. Now, when you're in the normal trucks or in the car, it's okay because you can normally see everything. I can see what they were going for. They were trying to go for that realism vibe, you know, what it would be like if you looked out through the windshield. But look at this with the armored truck. Thank God there was a dotted line there telling me where I needed to go because it is so hard to see where you are going at all times. I don't know who the hell thought this was a good idea. Anyway, back to Colonel Ryder, who we find is trapped on an isolated island that can only be accessed by going into the jungle. Colonel Ryder believes with how immune the main cast is, a cure could possibly be made. So it's off to the jungles of Benoi we go, with the task of finding someone named Moen. And I'm not gonna lie here, guys, this is the part of Dead Island that just, well, unfortunately sucks. While we do learn a lot more about the lore here, the gameplay, the missions, all of this, the jungle, the prison, the second half of the game is just not fun to me and feels super repetitive on a second replay. I have to admit, I have beaten this game multiple times, and every time I get past the city, the third act of the game just goes completely down the toilet for me. And there are some important facts about the lore in this act, like knowing that the infection is a spawn of the Kuru virus, but I don't know, man, this third act just doesn't do it for me. There are some glimpses of fun moments here, but for me, the overall package at the third act, or the, last half of the game, isn't very fun. So we run all through the jungle, help Moen get to the prison, do more side quests from the prisoners, all the way up till Ryder contacts us to tell us that something is wrong back at the lab. And when we get to the said lab, the zombies that were being tested on there got loose somehow and killed all the scientists except one, whose name is Yerma. We rescue Yerma and get our hands on what seems to be a prototype of the vaccine, but Ryder actually tricks us, knocks us out, and runs off with the vaccine. We learn that once Ryder leaves, he plans on nuking the island, so we have to race to the rooftop where a helipad is, where we find ourselves held up at gunpoint by Ryder. Jen releases Ryder's wife, who is a zombie, which is actually the whole reason why he stole the vaccine, was for her so he can cure her, but she ends up biting him, causing him to kill his wife, and then he kills Jen. With nothing left, Ryder then injects the vaccine into himself, but instead of curing the bite mark that his wife left him, it actually ramps up the mutation problem, speeding up his infection, turning Ryder into his own class of mutation, his own class of special infected. You know the type, the final boss kind. Putting the final hit on him, Ryder dies, and the main cast takes the helicopter and makes it off the island, ending the game. Now with that story, it does leave a lot of things open. Like, I had to look up what happens to the rest of the survivors on the island, and apparently there is an overtime mode in this game that if you complete that, there is a little cutscene at the end that shows the rest of the survivors making it off. But that is some bullshit to make a player do that just to find out what happens to the rest of the people. But overall, that was Dead Island. Dead Island is actually a very unique zombie game. Having the dark theme of undead corpses and blood clash with the beauty of the island that is Benoi is brilliant, just like the music in this game. Now there are your standard atmospheric pieces, but Dead Island has some pretty great tracks. One of my favorites is the main theme. It gives off a sense of isolation, fear, and desperation. but with an overlying sense of wanting to overcome. Or the lighthouse guard theme, or the church music, both giving off that helpless and despair vibe, like we lost so much and now it hangs on us. Or I could just be overanalyzing, I don't know. Dead Island isn't perfect, but it's far from a bad game. The game is solid, and with the first impression of the island, it just totally takes you away. If we can excuse that third act, we have a pretty solid game here. Now, this is a multiplayer game, but for this review, I played it single player wise, and doing that, it can be a bit repetitive, but having 3 friends, 2 friends, or just a single friend with you will add to the enjoyability of this game, but like I've stated several times on this channel, that can be said to any game. But it is a lot of fun to travel the Isle of Benoit with a buddy if you have the chance to. During the time that this game was actually big, there was a little community on Xbox Live that you could find, and I actually booted up my old Xbox 360 account here just to see everything, and look, I have modded guns. Yes, there was a time that if you ran into someone who was a higher level than you in the game, they would just give you all this modded stuff to help you out. I don't know if that's still the case in the definitive edition, but it is super fun to just finally go a Rambo on all these zombies with these guns with all this unlimited ammo. Because Dead Island is actually kind of stingy with the ammo in this game, but I guess that does make it more realistic. However, using these modded weapons is fun. It's just fun running through the island, mowing down all the zombies I see in quick fashion. Now, they did release DLC that did end up on its own standalone disc called Dead Island Riptide, but I have actually to this day never sat down and fully played that, so I just wanted to cover the base game of Dead Island 1. And we all know the story now that happened with this. Techland and Deep Silver couldn't find an agreement, so Techland left, creating Dying Light, and Deep Silver stuck with the Dead Island franchise, releasing Dead Island 2 not that long ago. Well, Danksters, that is going to do it for me. Thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Zombie Games Are Cool, the series where I go back and look at all the childhood zombie games that I played and review them for you today. Dead Island has been a real treat to go back to, so it's so nice to finally get a video, a Zombie Games Are Cool done on this game. Well, Danksters, all my socials are in the description down below, as well as my Patreon and my Discord. Feel free to join those if you want. It's totally up to you. But can I get you to hit that subscribe button and the bell for post notifications, because I wouldn't want you to miss a single video of mine. I wouldn't want you to miss another episode of Zombie Games Are Cool. And if you liked what you see here, well, it only makes sense to do that. And it's free. But with all that said, Danksters, I'm gonna hop off here. Just remember, you're not gonna get this kind of content anywhere else, and you wanna know why? Because that's the Dankers difference.